Jordan Montgomery today, after another really poor outing, was asked if his bizarre spring training, remember he signed, 3 days before opening day, 2 days before opening day, if I remember right?
Yeah.
He was asked if his bizarre spring training, is it having any effect on the lack of success he's having this season? Because it's been, especially the last 3 starts, has been really, really bad.
At this point, do you think your bizarre spring is having any effect still?
No. I just stink.
No, I just stink.
I respect that.
I do too.
respect that.
I do too. Yep.
Blake Snell's terrible. He's 0-3 with an ERA of 9. He won the Cy Young last year. Signed late. Montgomery signed late. Like, they didn't have the normal routine. Now, you would think in some ways, because Montgomery was one of those guys that we talked about, like he pitched through the World Series. He had a long year. Maybe that would have been an advantage to him because he got the extra rest, but it hasn't been. Like, not having the normal spring training, I think it's had some effect on him. But he is right. He just stinks right now.
He just stinks. But I want to zoom out on this for a few minutes if I could. Jordan Montgomery's 3-4 with a 6.80 ERA. Mitch and I were talking about this before the show. And of all the Boras guys who delay all offseason, the only one who's doing really well, fairly well, is Bellinger, right? Like, Matt Chapman's gotten better the last 3 weeks, but he got off to a real rough start. JD Martinez has been, okay. You mentioned Blake Snell. Jordan Montgomery has struggled.
Who's the guy that fired Boras right after?
Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Yeah, he fired
him.
Scott Boras.
Right.
Fired him.
He should be thanking him. He's going to make $50 million, and he can't get outs right now.
It's got me thinking about Zac Gallen.
Okay, tell me why.
And whether he's watching the performance of Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell and wondering whether Scott Boras is his correct and proper representation 2 years from now when he's a free agent. That was the thought I had watching today's game. Like, if I'm Zac Gallen and I'm thinking about when I'm going to be a free agent, when it's the offseason of the 2025 offseason, right?
Yeah,
the 2020.
It's not next season. It's the year after.
Yeah, so after the 2025 season, he's a free agent.
Yes.
Now, I know I'm thinking way ahead on this one, but how many conversations have you and I had about
dozens?
Zac Gallen, the decision, what he's going to do, and a lot of that is predicated on the fact that Scott Boras is his agent, and Scott Boras doesn't like to do extensions in the middle of a contract. He wants his guys to hit free agency. Scott Boras had a terrible offseason when it comes to his guys. Terrible offseason.
You want to trust that guy?
And I'm just wondering if you're Zac Gallen, if you're looking at that, looking at Jordan Montgomery's struggles, looking at Blake Snell's struggles, and you're wondering, do I really want to put my financial future in his hands? If the Diamondbacks come and offer me an extension now, do I really want to let myself go to free agency when Scott Boras botched it as badly as he did? Crazy as it sounds, I was actually thinking about that a lot during today's D-backs game, wondering how Zac Gallen was processing all
if he got offered, I don't know, 5 years, $150 million, would he turn it down right now?
Sure. I mean, like, look at Eduardo Rodriguez. 4 years, $80 million. Is Jordan Montgomery going to see 4 years, $80 million this offseason? Even if he does opt out, probably not. Now, if he opts in, he's going to make another $20, $25 million with the Diamondbacks next year.
2 years and 50.
2 years and 50, and 4 and 80. He's not getting $80 million. And if he pitches this poorly again, he's not going to have the opportunity to cash in the way Boras thought he was going to have the opportunity to cash in.
There's a lot of risk for pitches because of the injury factor. That's one. Zac Gallen, I think, is different than Montgomery and Blake Snell. I just think he's better.
Okay.
I think he's just overall. Like, Blake Snell won the Cy Young, but he's a 5-inning. He's two. But he's a Cy Young last year.
Yeah.
He's won 2 of them. He's a 5-inning pitcher. He's a 5. Like, the knock on him is he just doesn't go very deep. He's not a guy that can go deeper in games. He's basically a 5-inning pitcher. Mm-hmm. Montgomery's bounced around a whole bunch, and he was with the Yankees. He's been okay. How many career wins does Jordan Montgomery have? Not many.
No, not many.
Like, he's okay. He's an okay pitcher. Blake Snell's better, but I think Gallen is better than both of them. So I think that, like, if Zac Gallen hit the free agent market now or after last season, I think he would have cashed in really big. But now you're playing with fire. You've got this year. He's got a hamstring injury right now. Miss a couple starts, won't be that bad. You know, you risk it. I mean, it's hard to turn down the first big contract. I always say that. But Scott Boras seems like that guy that just wants to maximize the value. Like, hey, if I play it through free agency, you might make an extra $50 to $100 million more.
Yeah. And
if we play it that way.
And of course, there's a whole bunch of reasons why, Boras can say, hey, look, all these baseball teams, they weren't spending this offseason because the regional sports networks went away and because there was financial uncertainty and the teams they just weren't sure if the money was going to be there the way the money has been there in the past. And maybe all of that changes and maybe you're right. Maybe at the end of the day, Zac Gallen is just a better candidate to get paid when he becomes a free agent. It just feels like that has become kind of one of the themes of this baseball season so far, is that the Boras guys, the ones who waited and waited and waited and waited, they're not doing that great. They're not. And I don't know what the marketplace is going to be like for them a year from now. Like Jordan Montgomery, we talked about this earlier in the show. Jordan Montgomery might find that it's his best interest to opt in next year and I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen. I mean, we knew it was a possibility. It's the way the contract was structured. But when he signed that deal, did anybody think it was going to be anything other than a one-year deal worth $25 million? No. Then he was going to opt out and go get paid? If he keeps pitching like this, he might opt in, and his Diamondbacks might be stuck with him next year at $25 million.
Suns have 4 players who have opt-in decisions in the next, by the end of June. Okay, Eric Gordon, Drew Eubanks, Josh Okogie, Damian Lee. 4 players the Suns have who have the ability to opt in to a contract. So, when the Diamondbacks signed that Montgomery that contract, I agree with you. There's no way in hell we thought that guy was going to play under the second year because we never thought he was going to pitch that badly. But to Boras's credit, he got him protection. Hey, just in case you don't pitch well, you could still make $25 million next year.
Yeah. Torey Lovello after the game on Jordan Montgomery's outing today.
I thought Jordan was really grinding away. Those first couple innings were solid. I thought it was coming together for him, and then it slipped away from him. I think there were some mistakes. There were some inconsistencies with his ability to land the secondary stuff, spot up the fastball, and I'm sure he's going to speak to you guys about exactly why. You're going to ask me why. I'm not sure why. I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but I know that he's going to figure this out, and we're going to continue to coach him up and push him in the right direction. That's all we know how to do here.
As far as trends that he's seen with Jordan Montgomery these last few starts?
Yeah, it's mostly the command. Probably the command of his two-seam fastball, sinker. And the split change is a really big pitch for him. Curveball speaks for itself. Everybody who has a good curveball is going to be able to get some swing and miss on it. But the sinker and the split changes are 2 big pitches for him. He just can't seem to get that change where he wants it and be consistent with the fastball command.
It makes sense because the changeup is what Flores hit for a grand slam.
Mm-hmm.
He just hung that thing, and Flores just waited on it. Never had much of a fastball, so he's got to command those off-speed pitches, and he just wasn't very good at doing that. And these last 2 times, he's just gotten tattooed these last couple. That was it was 7 straight batters reach base.
Yeah.
7 straight batters reach base. Like, it was batting practice for the Giants out there.
It was batting practice, and he just absolutely lost it. And again, the concern with Jordan Montgomery, the pressing need when it comes to Montgomery, is that as long as Zac Gallen is out, and as long as Merrill Kelly out, and as long as Eduardo Rodriguez is out, and those latter 2 are going to be out a while still. Gallen hopefully will be back in a couple of weeks. As long as those 3 remain out, Jordan Montgomery is the closest thing you've got to an ace in this rotation. He's the closest thing that you've got to a reliable, been there, done that major league starter. He's got to be better than this. He's got to be. And then there's, bigger picture issues of all the momentum the Diamondbacks had built. How much did they lose it by losing today's game? Torey, it very much felt like a house money kind of game. Walker didn't play. Cattell didn't play. Right, like he gave a lot of his main guys the day off.
Walker was Marte was exhausted. They needed to give him. He's been grinding, so he was exhausted. So they gave him the day. Walker, I think, did come into pinch hit at some point, but he got the day off.
So did Marte.
Yeah,
I mean,
they both came
into pinch hit, and I think Walker's only missed 1 game the entire season. Those are 2 guys that. So I think Torey was looking at it and going, "Hey, we've already won the series. We've reestablished kind of, we're going to play with house money a little bit here. I'm going to give some guys a blow. I'm going to get some guys off their feet and see if we can go the sweep without them." They didn't get it. They're still in a really good spot. They went in today one game out of the last wild card spot with
Right.
nobody in front of them.
Hey, listen, they won 2 out of 3 against the Giants. They picked up that's good. You picked up a game on the Giants.
Yep.
Now you got the Padres coming in. Do the same thing. Like, they were playing some really bad baseball after the Dodger series. The Texas, the Miami, the Mets series were bad. Come back and win a series against the Giants. Great news. Now go beat the Padres to 3 out of 4 if you can.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.